Hi, I was just actually about to say, to meet, I feel like I've had an opportunity before to meet about half of you in person, and I've enjoyed very much. And some of you I almost did. If your projects had come out maybe at a little bit of a different time or place, we might have just recently connected. So it's nice to see all of you today.
Welcome.
Who have you met before, Charles?
Mouna, we met at the, I think at the Acquainted premiere in Toronto.
Oh,
Amazing.
Yeah. Does that take it back a little too far, or is that all right to?
I mean, so much has happened since then, but that was
Yeah,
at Tiff's.
exactly. Yeah, at the Lightbox. And that was, I mean, obviously, I really enjoyed that movie. I really enjoyed your performance in it. And Ronnie, we met at the, I want to say at the Actor Awards a couple of years back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Aml, I was actually referring to you because if your movie, we were possibly going to connect for the movie that you'd written and directed, but I don't believe it came out in Canada. So maybe we held it a little bit. We've put that to later.
It's coming. We've sold it to Sony, so it's coming around the world, including my dear friends in Canada. So we
might do it again. I think so. Yeah. And yeah, so that brings me about 2.5. Yeah, but for everybody else, I don't believe I have met. So a pleasure to do now. Let me jump into the show because I enjoyed it so much. I want to get you all talking about. So I'm reading through in the press notes, and Aml, you were sort of featured first because of your Zoom conversation, and you're an executive producer on the project. So maybe I wanted to start with you. How does it feel like when a show like this comes about, a very, very special show, how does it come about in terms of the conception of it versus the actuality versus the finished product? Because it feels like the ideas were fascinating, but then you bring in so many different threads onto the show, and there's so much going on, at least from what I've seen. So how does that feel for you when you've envisioned it and when it finally comes together?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I was saying earlier on that it was a great script immediately and a great pilot episode and second script. But then you go, okay, how are they going to execute in? Will it be able to be executed as, acutely as your imagination? And I'm happy to say that it was, and in some ways exceeded it. Jordan, Charles, RT, the showrunners, us did an amazing job, particularly them, in just kind of giving us the space and houses to live in through these kind of art pieces. I think stylistically, the choices that are made to not always come in on close-ups and do two-shot close-up to really have an audience be introduced to a world from a particular perspective is very powerful. And I think I'm really proud of it from a Black Canadian and Canadian point of view, but even just internationally, I think that our shows, can live next to some of the great shows that are happening right now, in particular those that are monumental and or kind of pushing out the Black narrative. So it's done its job for me, like in a really nice way. For me as the actor watching it and as the audience member, I really have enjoyed it and look forward for everyone seeing it.
Mouna, I'll bring it around to you because I'm curious about that idea again. The creators room was talking about how some of your, I've seen the first few episodes, and in the second episode, some of your scenes with Alfred they were discussing kind of brought on a life of its own. You were saying in the press notes that you're just happy to breathe the same air, but it feels like those scenes in particular, and some of those plots just feel like they kind of, I know they don't sprout organically, but it feels like it's grown so much from sort of what was envisioned. So what's it like for you to play that?
Sorry, I was.
That's okay.
I think it was one of those experiences where, I'm in a room with Alfred Woodard, and she is such an icon, and she is a consummate professional, and she brought so much life. So I was just responding to what she was bringing. I was bringing a lot of my own stuff, and it flowed into hopefully something magical. And I also think the experience of being on the set, the brothel where Marlene meets Faye and where Faye works, was one of the most extraordinary sets I've ever been on. They dressed this house immaculately. And when you walked in, you were sort of overwhelmed by the experience. I mean, there wasn't even a smell, but you can almost smell sex, something in the air. It was just such a complete experience. And I feel like all of those things created that performance.
Mm. Loren, I think I'll bring it around to you, because in the notes again said that they were looking for a real triple threat. And, you know, when I'm reading first the description of the show, I didn't know that aspect would be at the forefront, and it very much is. So, you know, what's that like for you? What's it like sort of building off of your background and being able to dive into a show like this?
It's amazing. I truly underestimated how much it would be at the forefront also. I mean, when I first read the script, even at the table reads, I still figured that it would be, you know, like just a nice dance, you know, something light, a nice little song here and there. I did not expect the level of excellence that they were requiring, and they were going to, you know, push us to be with rehearsals. I mean, we did a lot of rehearsing. I call it boot camp. No one else does. It's just rehearsal. But for me, being there every single day and like being so sore every single day, working new muscles that you can only find when you're like dancing, I completely did not expect any of that. I was so excited though, because coming from, you know, the Broadway background, it was literally just the same. It was like diving back into that world. And this met all my needs. This character met everything that I want to be. And I pray I book more roles like this one.
Amazing. Olunike, I'm going to bring it over to you. Because it's interesting to me, sort of the idea of the past, because we've seen you in past roles before, maybe even sort of around this time period, but it feels like this work, and I was talking about this in the creators room too, it feels like it's both sort of an examination of the past, but it's very much about the present as well. So, you know, what's that feeling like for you? Your character is so interesting. What's that feeling like for you to sort of be in a show that examines both past and present at the same time?
Well, I can't believe that past and like the past is still here in the present.
Mm-hmm.
I figure for 100 years, like we have evolved some, but we should have evolved quite a bit of the barriers that has been put on Black people for so long, which makes sense to have a character like Queenie, because she was anti-barriers, right? And she played in her own lake, not even a pond, a lake, and she created her own journey. She opened the doors for whoever she needed to. That's how I chose to portray the character. I guess I would be the future Queenie in the sense of mentality of wanting to be able to continue opening doors for everyone coming behind me, and knowing that seeing my image, I represent so much. I represent so much that has come before me. I represent so many people that will come after me, but that it's possible. That's how I see the past and present, and how the show has put it in that context, especially since this is an all Black-led cast. I can't believe it's taken this long to do this. And not just, it's not diverse with anything. It's Black and it's Canadian. And I can't believe it's taken this long, and that we are still here. And now we are in a groundbreaking time to release this show. I'll take it. I'll take anything that moves us forward. But we definitely have a long way to go.
Ronnie, of course, I want to bring you in. That I think for the Actor Awards, the movie that I'd seen you in then was Black Cop. And, you know, I don't want to draw too many parallels to different projects, but I know that you'd had a chance a few of you had, but you had a chance to work with Charles previously on Akila's Escape to work with. He was talking a lot about working with you again. But, you know, you're sort of in a way, you're sort of our entry point into the story. You know, we see you we dive in a little bit. And yet it feels like in this, as in many of your roles, we get a lot of sort of different perspectives. You're such a fascinating actor in that I'm never quite sure, like I trust you, but I'm never quite sure, you know, there's different sort of levels. So what does it feel like in a project like this to, you know, be sort of our guide a little bit for the audience?
I mean, it's humbling. It's humbling, but I mean, I think Zeke is a very human character in the sense that he's trying to please his moral compass, but also appease his loyalty to his good friend. And I mean, I guess I love playing characters like that because they're so multifaceted, and I think us as humans are very multifaceted, right? So yeah, I just enjoy doing it. I bring a little bit of myself into these characters, so I guess people will say that about me as well, that I'm a little mysterious. I know Mel's told me that a couple times. That
You're very obvious to me, mate.
you know, so yeah, I guess it makes sense that my characters come off that way because you know, I'm very calculated and particular about who and what I open up to, and I feel that Zeke is very much he has to be like that because of his past.
Okay, now I can kind of you know, throw a question out to anybody, which is great, but I still want to keep it in that theme because I'm so curious about it. I was talking about myself and my experiences having, you know, maybe met or meeting you for the first time. Had any of you happened to know each other really well? Did you forge new connections on this project, sort of, particularly with the cast assembled here? You know, who is sort of meeting each other for the first time on set or just before and, you know, bouncing off of their scene partner in that way?
So Ronnie and I have actually played lovers before.
Oh, really?
I had the pleasure of working with him on In Contempt. And Olunike and I worked on an incredible project called The Drop-In a few years ago. That's a female-led, it's just the two of us, action film where we did all of our own stunts.
Wow.
And
That was awesome.
So what's that like? What's it like to have a somebody that, you know, you have that shorthand already, that sort of familiar nature built in?
Feels like home. It feels like home. Ronnie and I worked on Akila's Escape too. We were husband and wife, and yeah, I just keep, you know what, it feels really gratifying when you get to work with people that you know have been grinding alongside you for a very long time. So to have everybody, because it's not just us in this room, on this Zoom. There's a lot of people that we know in the Porter that it felt like almost like a high school reunion. It was nice to see everybody. We're all familiar with each other, but we also were really happy to meet new people because meeting Aml, meeting Loren, meeting Jean, there's so many different Black actors that we didn't know, which was really cool because it's like, how do I not know you? You know, but it's just that's the nature of the beast. So when you have a cast that's all Black, it's wonderful, and that we are all working at the same time. We don't all have to be going up against each other for roles and stuff. I think that's the party, man. That's the party.
I think it felt safe with regards to Olunike and Mouna, especially with a scene that I did with Mouna that was pretty heavy for me. I was very thankful to have her as my scene partner with regard to that because of the support and understanding that she gave me in that scene. And then to contrast that, it was very exciting to work across like Loren and Aml because I had no kind of understanding of who they were as artists, but what they were pulling from me because of the artists that they were. was really cool. I know one of the scenes that Mel and I did very early was the Henry death scene, and it was so interesting to do because I feel at that point we had to be disconnected, but we did enough work before shooting to build a connection, so that whole contrast of that journey was pretty awesome to experience with someone that was so seasoned in what they do.
Yeah, it feels good when somebody is ready. When they're ready, and you are too, you work that way, and then and it also ready means like challenges you. That's really what Amel brings to the work. It's like there's no rules, and I like that because then it brings out the truth of your work. And so it was nice to embrace that and get the opportunity to experience that.
Amel, you're going into your next project is historical again. You're going to be playing Martin Luther King. Is that correct?
No,
No.
I'm not gonna. I've already done it now.
Already done it.
Oh, you are so sly.
I've
That's
already
good.
done it.
That's good.
I wasn't sure if it was upcoming filming or not.
No,
You know,
we-
sometimes those
well,
sometimes
funny.
those messages are a little bit unclear.
These guys can tell you a story about how that happened because Loren wants to take credit for the fact. Tell him.
I thought that this man looked so much like Martin Luther King.
I had a mustache and all that, and she.
Martin Luther King. I was like, you could play Martin, like you look just like Martin Luther King. And when he said it, I really thought that he was joking because I really thought he looked like Martin Luther King, but I thought he was joking. I didn't realize that like he actually freaking booked the role of Martin Luther King, and he's gonna kill it. It only makes sense, and I can't wait to support him in this.
Yeah.
What's
Go ahead.
What's it like jumping from sort of, you know, a crucial historical time to another crucial historical time?
It feels intrinsically linked to something I must do. So, you know, the Porter Jr. and Martin Luther King, both characters are something that you would die to play as an actor, you know, and actually they both came at junctures where I was really busy with something else. And so it felt like more of a calling to do it, to take on the responsibility of it. I really loved playing Junior for the most part, but then I had a very dark time playing Junior, and it was very interesting what happened, how the whole part came around. But what I found is very symbiotic between Martin Luther King and Junior is that Junior feels really drawn to this death, this live by the way, live exactly the way I want or die. And Martin Luther King, interestingly enough, was drawn towards this wanting to just be a man and leader of his or star of his community and of his community, but pulled towards this, you know, this leadership position, which ultimately would lead to his demise. And so it's very interesting going between those two energies, and that in many ways their rebellion is closer together than one would think. The rebellion of I refuse to bend the knee to what you say is good enough for us. I refuse that, and that's the journey of Junior and Zeke, and of a Martin Luther King, and actually of every character here. That's why today I've clocked more that you guys all have that full rebellion going on. Like even, you know, it's more obvious with Queenie, for example, because she's realized in that way, and maybe her rebellion's a bit reversed because now she's rebelling against her own instincts and, you know, falling in love. And Lauren's character Lucy, for example, she's like, no, I will not be held down by the times. I will become, and she you know, goes for what she believes in, and the same with Mouna's character. So I just think it's a show really about rebellion, and that's been the through line of my work recently. This rebellion. Yeah.
I've seen the first few episodes. I just wanted to ask, what is something that you're excited for an audience to see coming up, and for me to see as well too?
Oh, when Queenie gets pregnant.
What is wrong with you?
I do it.
Love banter shit. I was like, what's going on here?
More murderous. Should become more murderous.
I'm most excited for people to see the dance numbers.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm hoping people eat that up. We work so hard on those dances and the singing and all of that. I really hope that people just love it and they eat it up. I want to see it on Twitter. I want to be tagged, and I want them to eat that up. I want them to love the girl who plays Corinne. Her name's Juliet. She is an incredible performer, and I hope and she's working so much right now as well. And I hope that they eat that up. That's for my storyline, and I hope that they love myself and Luke as well. Who plays your
lover?
My lover,
Franklin.
Franklin. I'm thinking of him as Luke, but yeah, he's great. He's great as well, and I hope that they eat that up as well.
I do appreciate all the time you've given me, and I've enjoyed watching each one of you grow as performer on screen. So thank you so much.
Thank you.